heaven, but Terence Crawford is the best fighter in the world. I would like to fight him.
Recent updates confirm that the WBO stunningly ordered Sebastian Fundora to defend his titles against Terence Crawford at 154. Both parties have only 30 days to accept the offer, and the clock is ticking fast. Previously, it had been thought that Fundora would be facing Errol Spence Jr. in the fall, but there hasn't been much notable movement on that, at least publicly. Fundora recently upset Tim Tszyu on short notice in March to win the WBC and WBO titles in Las Vegas by unanimous decision. On the other hand, Sebastian Fundora gave his comments on Terence Crawford. He said that if he can beat Crawford, then that would make him the next champion.
Of course. He's the number one. He's the number one in the world right now. He's the best boxer right now. So, again, if I could beat him, where does that put me?
Is he really going to fight a 6'6" super welterweight, though? You really think he'll...
Hey, the money's right. Why not?
Sebastian's team has indicated that they would like to keep both title belts, and that if the WBO ordered a Crawford fight, they would likely be going through with it in order to avoid being forced to vacate. In a recent post on X, Terence Crawford showed his undying desperation to fight the biggest bouts possible, but it seems fate is not taking his side. Terence wrote, "I really just want to show the world how great I am." Former boxer Tim Bradley said that the Errol Spence fight makes much more sense for Fundora than Terence Crawford. Bradley astoundingly claimed that Terence Crawford would knock out Sebastian Fundora. Tim said that Errol Spence is coming from a major beatdown by Terence Crawford in 2023. He also explained that Errol has had eye surgeries and both Fundora and Errol are southpaws. Tim said that Sebastian has the reach and the style to maybe even hurt and stop Spence. Meanwhile, Terence Crawford recently fought Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds on August 3rd and won by unanimous decision. The boxing community wasn't happy with Terence Crawford's lackluster performance and the controversial decision that followed. Eddie Hearn commented that the judges should have given Madrimov respect on the scorecards, and he also thinks the marking was unfair.
They both gave it to Crawford, and Dan Rafael said you need to stop whining.
Yeah, I saw that. Dan Rafael can go fuck himself. That's number one. Number two is he scored it 115, 113. Right? No problem with that scorecard, by the way. But it's like when so many people thought Madrimov won as well. Now, maybe not as many as Crawford, but a lot of people. And a lot of people scored it a draw. I'm just disappointed as champion that he got no respect on the...
Hearn said that Crawford's corner was extremely quiet during the fight, and at the very end, Terence landed a few punches which gave him the victory. Hearn elaborated his remarks on the biased decision and read Crawford's face after the fight. Eddie added, "Even Terence Crawford knew it was a really close call and it could have been a draw, but he dismissed my statement." Meanwhile, former boxer Sean Porter commented on Sebastian Fundora's last fight with Tim Tszyu. Sean claimed that the fight between Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora was a complete bloodbath. While Porter watched Fundora and Tszyu fight, he believed that this fight would not move past the fourth round. Sean further said that Tszyu was hurt really badly in the second and third rounds with a cut on his forehead, and it seemed like he did not have much experience with fighting taller opponents like Fundora. Porter also stated that Fundora did not escape the fight unharmed either. Sebastian got hurt on his nose and there was blood coming out of it, so he switched up the game and changed his movements. The fight eventually ended after a grueling 12 rounds, and Sebastian Fundora was marked the victor of the bout, claiming 2 belts. On the other hand, Israel Madrimov wasn't far behind in claiming that he wanted a piece of Terence Crawford once again. Israel Madrimov recently stated, "I was a world champion, and I deserve to be a world champion after August 3rd. Now my main goal is to regain that status." Madrimov further stated, "Right now I'm ready for a rematch with Crawford to regain my title, or to challenge any of the other junior middleweight champions. A rematch with Terence Crawford is my goal, but I'm not sure he is interested right now. Our fight still has left many questions unanswered." The punishment that Madrimov dished out to Crawford will make it highly unlikely the Nebraska native Crawford will ever fight him again or face any of the talented 154-pounders. Madrimov's best bet to become world champion again at junior middleweight is to fight Sebastian Fundora, but he seems booked to Crawford. In addition, Eddie Hearn claimed that Terence Crawford is demanding far too much money for fights in the 154-pound division. Hearn previously stated that Tim Tszyu could beat Fundora, but he doesn't see him winning against Crawford. Even trainer Jose Benavidez Sr. said Terence Crawford is not an exciting fighter and reminds him of Shakur Stevenson with his approach to fighting. He feels that Crawford just focuses on winning rounds and doesn't go out of his way to entertain the fans like his son. Benavidez Sr. criticized Terence Crawford for his poor performance against Madrimov. Benavidez Sr. said, "I'm not even going to compare David to Terence Crawford. David is an exciting fighter. David comes to throw punches and risk a lot. He comes to put on a performance." What is even more interesting is that David Benavidez shared that he was offered to fight Crawford at 160 pounds by Turki Al Sheikh. shake. David said, I had talked to Turkey, great guy. They had wanted me to fight in August. I told them I'm with PBC. We got this big card coming up. So I think it was just a conversation of opening the doors that this might be a reality, that we could make this happen. We never got to that point. Benavidez further added on what Turkey had said. He did mention to me one fighter. He wanted me to go down to 160 and fight Crawford. I said, bro, I cannot do that. If I was able to make 160, that would be amazing. But I can't. I don't remember the last time I weighed 160. I would love to share the ring with him, but not at 160. On the other hand, the WBO have now officially ordered Sebastian Fundora to defend his WBC and WBO super welterweight world titles in a unification versus Terence Crawford next. Crawford has the WBA super welterweight world title and the WBO interim belt. 30 days to agree a deal, then purse bids. The ruling further stated, failure to move forward with the fight without the other party's consent will result in forfeiture of their version of the WBO title.
Everybody has goals, you know, in boxing. You know, he's a legend right now in this sport, you know, and one of the top fighters. So, you know, I like to get in the ring with him too. You know, it'd be a great fight. You know, he's before that Terence Crawford fight, he was considered one of the best fighters in the world. So let's do it. Whatever they give me, whatever give me. Errol Spence is a great opportunity. I think it's a match made in heaven. But Terence Crawford is the best fighter in the world. I would like to fight him.
Former boxer Paulie Malignaggi stated that Sebastian Fundora is a decent fighter in the 154-pound division because of his great height and reach. Paulie also stated that Terence Crawford is coming to 154 and there could be a possible return of Errol Spence as well. Paulie commented on Errol Spence stepping into the ring to call out Fundora. This is to no one's shock and surprise. The Errol Spence was inside the ring once Fundora was declared the winner a few months ago against Zhu. Malignaggi said that he would have liked Errol to get a fight in between the Crawford fight before he steps up against Fundora, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Paulie stated that the long layoffs coming into the Crawford fight for Spence has damaged his reputation, and then there is another long layoff before he fights Fundora. Paulie claimed that Spence does not like tune-ups. He jumps right into action, but Paulie also believed that tune-ups are necessary since those are the rules. The main reason why Terence Crawford came to the 154-pound division was to eventually have a fight against Canelo Alvarez at 168, but given his poor performance against Madrimov, it seems extremely difficult that he could take on a challenge such as Canelo. Moreover, Madrimov rocked Terence Crawford really badly, and he claimed that he was in charge of the battle and that he never felt threatened by Crawford. According to Madrimov, he has a great deal of fighting experience and has shown that he can confront fighters like Crawford with real toughness. When the fight was over, Israel confidently stated that he felt really good and accomplished. On the other hand, Terence Crawford showed his frustration at Errol Spence for snatching his opponent, Sebastian Fundora, as Errol stepped in the ring to call out the Titan. Paulie Malignaggi seemed worried when he heard that Crawford was chasing Canelo because Terence couldn't put the forward pressure on Madrimov. Moreover, Paulie said that Fundora deserves the credit for his win against Tim Tszyu, even though the win was controversial due to the fact that Tim received a severe cut by the gigantic 6 feet 6 inches Titan. Malignaggi commented that Terence Crawford and Fundora are both raising plenty of questions for the public going into this fight. Paulie said that any fighter in the 154-pound division could beat both Sebastian and Crawford. I think Ortiz and Tszyu beat both of them. You know what I mean? Like both of those guys beat any fighter in that fight. You know what I mean? But we're gonna have that main event in a stadium, and Ortiz and Tszyu are going to be a co-main event to Crawford. Like, you understand why boxing is so weird. Meanwhile, former boxer Andre Ward was asked about Sebastian Fundora, so he hinted on Errol Spence aiming to fight Sebastian next. Before Tim Tszyu fought Sebastian Fundora, it was rumored that Tim would emerge victorious, and the winner would have to fight Terence Crawford. Andre Ward seemed excited to see how Errol Spence's next fight turns out. Ward explained the irony behind Errol Spence fighting Fundora. He said that the top guy of the 154-pound division should be fighting Terence Crawford, but then you see Errol matching up with Fundora, which is really tricky, but it's happening in the boxing world. On the other hand, Errol Spence Jr. seemed wildly excited to fight Fundora, which will eventually lead him to a rematch with Crawford.
You told Bud you don't wait in lines. You know, you mentioned that you might want to fight Fundora. Are you staying to that? You still want to come back and fight Fundora?
Oh yeah, for sure. Come back and fight Fundora, then you know, I guess you know, Crawford mandatory, so we'll do a fight too.
Meanwhile, former CEO of Mayweather Promotions, Leonard Ellerbe, was asked about the Errol versus Fundora matchup. He responded by saying that Errol is his own master and he gets whatever he wants.
Hey, what's up, Leonard, man?
What's up, boss man?
Tim Tszyu's manager said that they will vacate the WBO title to fight Errol Spence first instead of Crawford, man. What do you think about that, man?
Well, again, I just saw that. I saw a tweet yesterday from Earl.
The difference between Errol and everybody else, Errol gets...
Leonard further remarked that Errol is family. If he says he wants to fight Fundora, then Al Heyman, who is Errol's promoter, is going to make it happen. In another interview, Sebastian Fundora's promoter Samson talked about the options that Fundora has among Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. He ironically responded in favor of Spence because that will be the best payday for Fundora. Samson painfully admitted that Errol Spence is a tough opponent, as he said, "I believe that this one of the point that, well, Spence is a really good fighter anyway, especially in 154, so I believe that he would have a shot, but now you need to wait, like you made others wait. That is the boxing world there. Not only one way, there are two ways." Will Sebastian Fundora accept the offer? Does Fundora beat Errol Spence or Terence Crawford? Let us know in the comments section below and subscribe for more content like this.